What's up, y'all? It's your boy Sean P back again with another edition of Hip Hop Roundtable Reviews. So tonight, we're gonna take a little detour from reviews and we're gonna talk a little bit about the world of streaming, record sales, and bots. Okay. Now, this conversation is kind of taking a new light since the Kendrick Lamar and Drake battle that went on now over coming up almost a year and a half ago now. Wow, it's really been that long. Of course, Drake and Drake's side of things, the Drake cronies said that Kendrick used bots and used fake streams and manufactured their record sales. And believe it or not, it was the basis of their whole UMG case that got thrown out of court. You know what I mean? So, and really, in all actuality, Drake tried to put that into the UMG case, saying UMG used fake bots to boost, not like us or whatnot. And they actually debunked that themselves because they dropped that out of the lawsuit altogether and just went with defamation. But anyway, we're really going to talk about this and take a deep dive in this. This is going to come from an interview with TDE Punch that was done by a reporter who directly asked TDE Punch, for lack of a better word, do you think that you cheat in record sales? You know what I mean? And it's around the fact of loading up certain albums, deluxe albums, a deluxe version of albums with a whole other group of songs. So basically they're gonna talk about SZA's SOS album, and how they added almost like 10 to 15 songs to make 30 songs, and it got a little bit contentious. There's a little bit of a debate by it, but I'm just gonna come and say and make the statement as far as my personal opinion about streams and record sales and how the streaming game works. To me, I think it's all pretty much fraudulent. You know what I mean? You can manipulate streams to do whatever you want, and these record companies, the streaming era, I would say, probably took off probably the early 2010s. I'll probably say like 2011, 2012. And since then, these record labels have been manipulating streams for years. So it's like, what's the difference? And in the end of the day, when Drake made the claim that they were botting and they were, boosting streams for Kendrick Lamar, I said, so what? You know what I mean? To me, I just looked at it as another version of Two Can Play That Game. Kendrick was hot. They wanted to get behind him. They wanted to promote him as a lead artist. And what they don't tell you is that Kendrick ain't even an artist on UMG. He just has a promotion deal with them. And Kendrick's not even signed to TDE. All he has is really not even a promotion. He just has a distribution deal. Drake is a full-fledged artist on UMG. So automatically he gets more promotion than them. So they try to sell that whole aura about that UMG case, that they weren't boosting him the way they were boosting Kendrick. And I just looked at it like, hey, the dude was hot. He had a hot song, one of the hottest songs in years. So what? They promote you and been promoting you and boosting you, as in Drake, for years and putting you on that label. I mean, Drake got accused of being botted and having streams boost his overall sales back on the Scorpion album. Nicki Minaj even called that out. So you can look that up. But that's just my whole take on things. But this really points at TDE, and if TDE was kind of using maneuvering tactics to boost their streams and boost their sales. So this comes courtesy of I Am Stacy, and we will take a look at this. Maybe a little bit of a long video, so we may be here for a little bit. There's a lot to digest from this because it's a good debate. So let's go with that. All right, courtesy of I Am Stacy about inflated streams with TDE.
So I hope I'm saying it the right way. This person put Elise up here, but I think it says right there, LC, not Elise. If I'm saying it the wrong way, I'm sorry, but she is a personality that covers a lot of music, and she's sitting now with Punch from TDE. Based on these captions, it doesn't seem like it's a song.
LC Elise. Now, I'm just going to point something out, and I'm not trying to go conspiracy theory on you, but she does have a Canadian accent. You know, so she may be coming from one side of a tainted faction in the music industry, if you know what I mean, because there's a certain artist from Canada that happens to be going or was going back and forth in the battle with TDE. But anyway, I'll let you be the judge.
Softball interview, she's asking some hard-hitting questions, okay? I'm interested in this one right here. One, everybody been talking about this. She asked about Doechii, and this caption says, Elsie tells Punch that despite loving Doechii's album as a fan, her growth and booming overnight seemed inorganic, okay? But he mainly helps SZA out, like, even though he's executive top dog. He focuses on the SZA operation. Elsie disagrees with TDE Punch's answer after she asked why they released 2 deluxes to SZA's SOS album.
Okay, and just to set the record, so this is going to be surrounded about 2 TDE artists. Actually, really one, because SZA moved on from TDE, but SZA and her deluxe version of SOS, and Doechii and her being an industry plant. So they're going to be 2 topics they're going to talk about. And my man, I Am Stacy, is going to comment, read some comments. It's a good debate. You know, it's a good back and forth. And I'll give my takes on it as well. So let's keep it moving.
It says it was an overkill and done to inflate streams of SOS. Let's tap in.
I want to ask specifically about the SOS Deluxe that dropped. Lana. I thought it was really interesting because for me, like, y'all dropped this entirely new project. Like 15 new songs.
Yeah.
Then called it a deluxe.
Right.
To SOS. And some people online have said, you know, maybe that was done to inflate the numbers of SOS that were already amazing at that point. But what was what happened and why was that the direction that y'all decided to take? Because I feel like that could have dropped as its own unique project.
It was more so about purging, getting everything out and off so she can move on to the next phase. So it wasn't about trying to inflate numbers or make a long project so it keeps streaming. It was more so a creative decision to get all of that music out so nothing is left, and then she could just start fresh on whatever the next thing is.
Yeah, so just to let you know about that, I believe SZA is off of TDE now. I'm not sure, but that might have been might have been her last project, and she's looking for a new deal now. Whether she re-signs with TDE, I don't know. I read somewhere that if I'm not correct, she might have moved on from TDE, but she's looking for her own deal. So basically, with record labels, and this is what they do. When an artist usually wants off the label or wants a new deal, what they do is they might put out a greatest hits. They might put out some EPs of some unreleased material or something like that, just to fulfill the album obligation so they can keep that artist catalog moving and that artist could get to the end of their obligation of albums. So it seems that's what they did with SZA. Now, the young lady here who's interviewing him thinks that's a little bit unfair because it's basically you're loading up 15 songs on top of 15 songs to have a 30 song album, you know, which is to her is like kind of quote cheating, because SOS I think sold like 4 or 5 million records. It sold a whole lot of records, so it's almost like you're boosting that album up record sales wise. So let's carry on and see what they say.
I mean, but you could have done that with like an EP or called it something else, or like a mixtape, like everyone's doing these days. Like, I'm just dropping a mixtape.
Yeah, I mean, but we kind of do it how we want to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Usually a deluxe is a couple new songs.
Yeah.
We did 15. And then added some more after that.
Which was, yeah.
We just kind of move how we feel and want to move.
So that's interesting. So he just said, "This is what we felt like doing, so we did it." And I don't see there's anything wrong with that, you know? So he's basically telling this chick, that's what we did, deal with it, move on. I don't know what your feeling is about that, but it is what it is.
Okay, I guess that's a fair answer. Although I don't quite agree.
What you don't agree with?
I don't know. I just feel like calling a deluxe with 15 songs, it's like overkill for me.
Why?
It's 15 songs. It's a separate thing at that point.
What's the rule on how many songs can a deluxe be?
There's no rule, but it's like a deluxe is a deluxe.
And that's based on what other people have done before, right?
But that's everything in life.
For sure. And then you got some people that come and break all the rules.
Yeah.
And start trends in other areas.
So let me explain something to you about deluxe versions. And me, I kind of don't agree with this, but a lot of artists do it anyway. Drake has been known for years to put out albums of 20 plus 25 songs and basically compilation projects. The reason why these artists do that is because they want to get more volume and more chances of getting hits or songs with, you know, continuous play. Because today in the streaming world, the single has more power than the album. You could have an album of 20 songs, and 3 of those songs could be platinum singles, and that's all they need to go platinum. Maybe more than that. You know what I mean? That's all. So basically, the reason why they want to have these albums of so many different songs, and the reason why they have a deluxe version, is it's another shot of boosting those streams record sales wise, because more people are going to listen to more people are going to listen to songs they like. Because in today's world of, you know, hip hop listening, people don't listen to albums cut for cut. You know what I mean? It's, they're more about the playlist listening style, where I like this song, I like 5 songs out of 20. And because of they look like those 5 songs, it's the best album to them. They just keep playing and playing those songs. And what record labels, you know, feel is that, oh, well, if they listen to those 5 songs, eventually they're going to listen to the other ones, and the other ones might grow on them. So we're going to get more streams. So back to this situation, you know, SZA put out basically a double album deluxe. But see, this is my whole thing. Like, Drake's Scorpion was a double album, and he released it as a double album. You know what I mean? Another thing Drake did is one of his albums, I want to say More Life. And see, this is the clever thing he did. He didn't call it an album. He called it an organized playlist. Now, you see, by doing that, people look at it as like a playlist form. So it's like, oh, just take the songs you like off of it, and you could make your own album. You know what I mean? And I think, what was it? If you're reading this, it's too late. He called a mixtape. See, and that's kind of cheating in its own way, because you're trying to diminish the value of that really album. You know what I mean? By saying, oh no, these are just some Lucy singles we just want to put out there for the fans, and you guys could have this. This is a treat from us. When it's an album. You know what I mean? But artists don't want to put that pressure on the album, because if a lot of the music is bad, or let's say it's like only 5 good songs out of like 15, they could say, oh, it's just a playlist anyway. So it wasn't meant to be an album or play like an album. So this whole manipulation game, you know, Drake and OVO has been doing it for years. Nicki Minaj does this shit. You know, all the major artists do this. Chris Brown put out a 45 song album one time, 2 song albums. So my pushback on this is, all right, what's the difference between a 30 song SZA Deluxe and a 25 to 30 song Drake album, or a 45 song Chris Brown album? What's the difference? You know what I mean? And I think that's where Punch is coming from on this one.
I don't feel like I like that trend though. I don't want that to be a trend.
Well, it's too late. It's already a trend. You're just mad because TDE is doing it for the first time.
I feel it. I don't get it though. Why not?
It just feels like, for me, it feels like the artist, it gives off the impression that the artist is kind of trigger shy. It's like you don't want this to stand as its own project, because when you put it together as a deluxe, it kind of takes off the pressure. I mean, SOS was already successful, so it's like, you know, this.
But see, remember what I told you about Drake. Remember what I told you about him doing More Life as an organized playlist, or if you're reading this too late, as a mixtape. You know what I mean? That's just the same thing. Isn't that taking the pressure off of an album? Because if it fails and it's like, oh, this is whack, it's not an album, people stop listening because of it, he could just say, oh, this is just a bunch of loose songs. So back to what I was saying before about the botting and the streaming and the manipulation tactics by these artists, Drake has done the same thing. So if I look at it like them calling Drake out for botting is basically the pot calling the kettle black times 1,000, because it's like, bro, you're just mad that it's two can play this game, and they're successful at it because they had the hottest song of that year, and that's not like us.
Kind of takes off the pressure.
At the end of the day, whether you call it an album, a deluxe, a mixtape, a project, it's still a body of work that's going to go in the world, and people are going to judge it how they want.
It's true, but it's judged differently. A mixtape is judged differently from an album.
Which makes no sense. It's still a body of work.
It is, but
I wish Punch would come out and say, well, Drake did the same thing, so do you feel the same way?
Like, an album sounds more serious. It's like, this is an album. Mixtape is like, you know, kind of threw stuff together.
So it's all about the packaging and perception of how people think it should go.
So you're saying that you didn't consider that?
Consider everything.
Style starts with the details. The difference between mid and next level, a real gold chain.
Nice back and forth. All right. My thoughts. I got a lot of thoughts on this. So first thing first, her perspective. I understand her perspective, because it's like you guys are trying to cheat the system to add more when it comes to the sales for that project, and you trying to say whatever you can to say for PR wise as far as the reason that you guys made that move. But you made that move to go ahead and continue to stack up that project. Now on the label side, it's slick because what they're doing is making sure, okay, you got all these songs, we don't want you to put these songs out as an EP or LP or whatever, because those songs, I don't look at that as album quality. SZA didn't look at it herself as album quality. It was just a batch of songs that she wanted to release, probably that didn't make the list for the last project. So you're not gonna just throw those songs out because I find them to be valuable. But at the same damn time, we're not gonna just throw an EP out there because you're not going to later down the line pull a Megan Thee Stallion on us when they get out your deal and said that qualified as an album to satisfy my obligation. We not doing that shit. So that's
a good point. So there are two angles from this. There's an artist perspective, you know, who might want to get another deal or out of a deal, and that's a label's perspective where they want to get the most out of a project. So in this instance, I have to agree. TDE Punch is 100% right. Is it slick or whatever? Yeah, but there are no rules anyway with streaming. Like, you tell me the rule. How many of these high-level artists, have used bots and stream farms? Is what they don't tell you. You know what I mean? Like, how many of these artists, and when they said, like, I know French Montana got accused of stream botting, and several artists got accused of botting. I think not Cardi B, but one of the female artists got accused of it. I'm like, so what? Y'all do it in some way, shape, or form. So, what's the big deal? You know what I mean? It's the artists that. Well, I'll explain about the artists that are brand quality artists in a minute. Let this go on.
It's a back and forth that's probably going on. And that's something that's probably going on right there that you got to think business wise. And I wish he would have just straight up said that shit, like, business wise, it makes sense. So we're not gonna just throw out random.
It does make sense.
Songs. We don't do that. The way that we put our music quality control over here on TDE, we make sure we put our stuff. If it's going to be a project, it's going to be a great everlasting project. We just don't throw out EPs. Even if it's going to be something that we just put out there, it's going to be something that's timeless. If an artist like SZA. So I would have preferred to answer like, bro, we having this conversation, you want to sit down and talk. Don't just keep the secrets. I know you still in business and you got other artists that you gotta deal with in the future, but if you gonna talk, nigga, talk. Let us know why you did what you did, man. And another angle, it may be a situation where SZA had a recording budget for, I'm just thinking this through as I talk, but SZA may have had a recording budget for that project, and she probably wanted to re-up and get the new recording budget for the new album. And she wanted to make sure, okay, my project did amazing. I want a new advance. I want to get rid of all these other songs so y'all don't say, you still got more songs from your last session. Nah, all that money was allocated to these songs that's being created right now, that's in this batch. Add that towards this music over here, to this project, so all that can be allocated together as far as in the books. Because y'all,
and that makes sense too. You know what I mean? And I think they wanted to capitalize off the moment for this. I think TDE wanted to capitalize off the moment with one, SOS and that success, two, the GNX tour, because the SOS Deluxe came out, I believe, right before the GNX tour, and that was more songs to play on tour. So of course, fans are going to go and hear this on tour, and they're going to want to hear these songs again. You know what I mean? They're going to want to go and hear these songs again, and they're going to get more streams off of that. I think it's perfect business. It makes all the sense in the world to do something like this. But the thing about it is, it's all about, let's just call a spade a spade. The people that are calling this shady, you know what I mean, are the disgruntled Drake fans. The OVOs or OVHOs, whatever you want to call them, because it's like, look, we don't think your streams are legit, all from the botting conspiracy theory behind Not Like Us. But see, the reason why, and I'm going to go off tangent for a minute and talk about the UMG case. Y'all don't understand the real reason for the UMG case. I don't even think the UMG case really was about Drake being defamed or defamation. Drake was upset that the record label that gave him a $400 million deal did not promote him the way he wanted to be promoted in this battle. In other words, his brand suffered. Now, let me explain to you what a brand is. Artists that have a brand are the mega stars out there. Nicki Minaj has a brand. Kanye West has a brand. Eminem has a brand. Jay-Z has a brand. Beyonce has a brand. I would say Weeknd has a brand. Now, what does that mean when you have a brand? when you have a brand and you are a brand artist, the goal is really not to put out a great project. When they put out a project and they put out a project every year, every other year, the goal is to keep the money trail moving so their brand grows. So even if Drake puts out a weak album, I know Drake put out that, what was the name of it? Dark Lane demo tapes. The goal of that project is just for Drake to get a couple songs on radio. So people will be like, oh, I like that one song on Dark Lane demo tapes, Tootsie Slide, but I'd rather hear Hotline Bling instead. So they go back and stream Hotline Bling again. So indirectly, it doesn't matter what these artists are putting out to a certain point, because when you have a brand, anything sells. It doesn't have to be quality. You know what I mean? Kanye West has lived off of that, and he got an independent deal off of that. Nicki Minaj lives off of that to a degree. And look, I think Eminem is a phenomenal lyricist, but Eminem lives off of that. Even though I do think Eminem still is more on the artistic side. But what I will say is that Kendrick Lamar really was not that kind of artist. Kendrick Lamar put out an album every 3 years. Kendrick Lamar was about the art. TDE is more the artistic label than the volume brand label that cares about buying in streams. But see, when a Kendrick Lamar comes with a Not Like Us, and it's bigger than just about any Drake hit he's ever had, that's when it's a problem, because it's like, he stole my brand. He's affecting my brand now, so he can't do that. So I need to sue him. And that's really what it's about in the end of the day. And people kind of misconstrue this, and Drake fans want to manipulate and say, oh, well, they called him a PDF and all this, when they really didn't call him a PDF. I mean, artistically, you could dress it up and say that was just a figurative hyperbole you use in there. But in the end of the day, it's really about Drake's brand being affected, because his brand overall was affected and wasn't streaming what it used to stream after Not Like Us.
I know these artists that make a lot of money to actually bring money to the label. They get advances for each album. So that could be a thing as far as SZA wanting a bigger advance. But I do remember a situation where SZA's fans was asking for these songs. It was looked like she was going back and forth with Punch as far as whether she could put the songs out. So SZA was pushing for this. I don't know if that was SZA's decision to make that to be a part of the SOS album, but I think business-wise, you can't lose. The fans that are fans, they gonna love it. You can go ahead and put more singles out that can do its thing. Like, you know, all I could think is that it led to another big-ass advance for SZA's next album. It's business. They inflated the numbers. It's okay. It's okay to say that. Y'all inflated the numbers. What people saying in the comment section, though,
But before that, I look at it this way. If it's quality music, and SOS is a great album, I'm for it. But if it's like an artist who just wants to put out fluff and put out just, you know, a bunch of mid to whack shit just for the sake of putting it out, then I'm going to call it out and saying, oh, this dude just wants to get some extra streams just to up his brand, you know, but this shit was trash. You know what I mean? And to be fair, I think TDE is more about artistic creativity than OVO, Young Money, Cash Money. You know what I mean? Young Money, Cash Money, billionaires, they just follow the same formula, try to make the same redundant type of songs, turn up music they've always done. TDE, they push the envelope. They do something different. They try and do something creatively, conceptually wise to do things. So, you know, I don't want to be too long-winded. I want to get to when it's talking about Doechii. So let's talk about part 2. About
you're here to learn what you don't know, yes? So I'm going to dial in right now and dive into some of the most common
and it's best rap album. A woman hasn't won that since like.
Yeah.
So.
I think they got that one correct. I think that was the best
I agree.
rap album at that time.
I agree.
For sure.
But it was.
They're talking about Doechii winning the Grammy for best rap album, and she says that's kind of rare because I think that's the first woman to win best rap album. Well, really since Cardi B, but many women don't win best rap album. You know, Lauryn Hill won it. You know, I think she got album of the year too. But anyway, she's questioning, you know, Doechii and why she won best rap album.
It's also called a mixtape, so I feel like there's a lot of people just being like,
yeah, I mean, however they do that, like, I don't get into that part of it.
Yeah.
It's a body of work.
And that's another thing too. She's questioning, well, it's not really an album, it's a mixtape. But remember what I told you about Drake making organized playlists and mixtapes and people playing them like they were albums. You see that, right? But she doesn't call that out.
For me. So it is what it is. But her trajectory is insane. Like, I think her strong point is the live performance.
oh yeah.
I mean, she's so polished to be so early in her career. And that's something that stands out for sure.
For sure. But did you see it coming?
Yeah, you can tell. Absolutely.
To this level though?
She so wants to cut her down. It's not even funny. I mean, she basically wants to say, I think Doechii is a fraud. You know what I mean? Just come out and say, I think Doechii's fake. You know what I mean? Like, to this level, like, really that big? Like, I don't believe it, you know? But to be fair, like, Doechii is a very creative artist. Now, they're going to get into the whole, well, is she an industry plant or whatnot? I don't understand how you could be an industry plant, but you are an artist in the industry. I believe Doechii was on TDE for 6-7 years before she blew up. If it's like she came out of Blue and the Blue and had like one big song, like an Ice Spice, you could kind of make that argument as to, well, she came out of nowhere, so who is this chick? You know, but Doechii's been around the block. She's made several changes to her style, and maybe this was the one that just hit. But let's see more what they talk about on this one, about her being an industry plant.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even as a fan, I didn't see it coming.
Really? Why?
I saw like, I loved the album mixtape when I first heard it, but it just felt like there's just a certain boom that just really felt like, wow.
You know what happens to me is it's certain, and this is the thing you can't predict in music, is timing. So I think at the time when her project dropped, people wanted something new and refreshing. And I think she provided that. Like,
and I agree with that. I think Doechii, now I do think it was timing. I think Doechii came in a time where a lot of the female hip hop was sounding the same. I think this was after Nicki's album dropped, so Nicki was out the way. Cardi didn't drop yet, you know, and a lot of the quote unquote ratchet female hip hop, they weren't doing too many numbers. Ice Spice just flopped. Excuse me, my allergies are acting up tonight. But anyway, Ice Spice just flopped. I think she did 20,000 on her debut album or whatever. There was a bunch of these one-hit wonder chicks out there, and Doechii came with something different. She came with concepts. She came with stories. She came with a creative energy, a creative personality. Because I think with females, personality is what sells most of the time. And I think her personality was so different, and people gravitated to that. And I think Anxiety is a relatable song that a lot of young ladies gravitated towards. Is it a bit of like a one-hit wonder kind of vibe to it? Yeah, but she had so much other creative work on, I believe, Alligators Don't Bite, I believe the name. I might have butchered that. but her debut mixtape album, that was enough to carry that to bring it to the success it really had.
She was actually rapping. Her timing was crazy on her cadences, and it matched the performances, and it matched the visuals, and everything just clicked at that right time. And that's why it took off, because the actual music was good too. So that's the first point. That's the bottom line, is the music is good. Once the music is good, you can build off of that.
There's been,
And that's the truth. If you're putting out good music, I don't care what promotion tactics you use, spread that, because you have such little quality creative music out there. If it's mainstream, please blow that up. Like, I wish they could do that more with the Clips album, because the more creative it is, I don't care what channels you got to use or what have you, but please promote that. Because if it's real hip hop, get it out to the masses, get more ears on that. Why not?
and I feel like,
Okay. So
But eventually,
here I am with this one right here. That can cause some skepticism. Yes. The growth was super huge as far as a crazy push. But in my opinion, like, I think there's an answer for that shit. I think there's a very obvious answer for that shit. I think even though Kendrick Lamar was the main guy as far as the rap beef goes, like, he was the guy, but I think that camp, TDE, had a boom regardless around their name completely, period. And because Kendrick Lamar not signed to TDE no more.
Oh, don't tell me I screwed it up. Yeah, I wanted to agree with that statement that he made, because I think the timing, that comes with the timing aspect of that, because Doechii dropped really in the middle of the beef where Not Like Us was blowing up. And I think Kendrick's cosign, the fact she's on TDE, I think that energy behind that kind of blew her up to the point she was. I got to get back to where they were. Hold on a minute.
The growth was super huge as far as a crazy push. But in my opinion, like, I think there's an answer for that shit. I think there's a very obvious answer for that shit. I think even though Kendrick Lamar was the main guy as far as the rap beef goes, like, he was the guy, but I think that camp, TDE, had a boom regardless around their name completely, period. And because Kendrick Lamar not signed to TDE no more, I think they found a way to latch on to that visibility, that success of the rap beef, and took Doechii on a ride with that. I think somehow marketing on social media, somehow they snuck into that and helped her 100%. I know for sure the label did make sure she was super visible, to a point that it probably was uncomfortable for a lot of people that weren't her fans.
And that's true. I think social media had a big play on that as well. That blew her up at that time. But it goes back to the timing aspect. All the stars were aligned at one point for this woman. And, you can't call that an industry plant, because I could make more arguments, if we're really going to say that, if we're going to look at the same things with Doechii and her success off of her album, I could say the same thing with 50 Cent. But nobody calls him an industry plant. 50 Cent put out 2 songs at that time, right? In the Club, well, not even In the Club, Wanksta and In the Club, both based off beef, off of a certain artist at that time, Ja Rule. And his album, off of those 2 songs, he created one of the greatest albums of all time and had one of the greatest runs of all time. Nobody called him an industry plant. Nobody said, oh, he was only popular because he dissed Ja Rule. A lot of things lined up for him. He was in line with Eminem and Dr. Dre, the 2 hottest artists in that time period. But everybody looks at 50 Cent as a great rapper, even though a lot of his energy came off of the strength of really 2 songs and the timing at that time. You know what I mean? Being associated with people, which you can say is kind of the same deal with Doechii. But Dochi's an industry plant? I don't know.
100 times out of 100 times, I will never get mad at the label for pushing an artist, especially an artist that I believe has talent. You may not believe that, but I think she has talent. You might as well go ahead and push it if she's on the squad. But it wasn't normal as far as her success and her growth. But for TDE, that was not a normal year at all as far as visibility. But let's see what folks saying in the comment section. She want to.
That's true. I'm gonna stop it there. Check out my man I Am Stacy, and check that out. But yeah, so I guess it's different ways of looking at things, you know what I mean? But I just wanted to make this just to kind of shoot down the narratives out there about industry plant this and fake streams and bots and all of this, because look, the whole game's rigged. The way I look at it is, all right, it's basically like baseball in the 90s. All right, who's using steroids? But the big hitters that were hitting a lot of home runs and the big name home run hitters for those teams usually were on the juice. So it's the same thing in this game. Drake, Nicki, all the major artists that get the push from the major labels are going to get that promotion. And I'm not going to say they all have dirty streams or bots and all of that, but pretty much they use that for their artists that they promote. So, and I don't even think with Kendrick, I don't even think it really was a thing about streams, because if you notice, Not Like Us was a standalone song. To me, it wasn't even the best song out of the battle. To me, Euphoria was the best. But truth be told, if they really wanted to get on some botting shit, how come they didn't bot Meet the Grams? How come they didn't bot 616 in LA? I don't even think 616 in LA is on Kendrick's platform. You know what I mean? And GNX, if they really, really wanted to make this about botting and streaming, all they had to do with GNX is put Not Like Us on there and put Euphoria on there, and they could double the record sales easily. Like nobody, see, a big problem I had was when Cardi B put WAP and Up on her latest album, and it debuted at double platinum status. But everybody gave her a pass for that. I'm not going to say everybody. Some people called it out. But she, for the most part, got a pass for that. You know what I mean? Everybody let that go, even though that's clearly cheating. But it just goes to show an artist with a brand like Cardi B, they're going to do everything they can to sell all the records they can. So to me, I'm like, when they call this botting streams and fake streams, and he doesn't get the same stream promotion that Drake gets and blah, blah, blah. So what? Deal with it. I say deal with it. Fuck it. I mean, Drake has been the #1 artist in the world 10 times over. You know what I mean? So to me, I'm like, so what? I mean, he sold off of the battle too. I mean, if I'm not correct, Push-Ups and Family Matters went platinum. Maybe one of them went double platinum. So he made money. So what? And I really don't see the big deal about it. And I think the real debate needs to be what's the better song? You know what I mean? What's the song that stands the test of time and people remember? And out of the whole battle, people remember Euphoria. People remember Not Like Us over Family Matters. When all the dust clears. So in the end of the day, you know what I mean? You want to call it bots and streams and all that other shit, botting streams, as my allergies act up, and you want to call it that? I just call it, what was the most memorable song? Kendrick had the most memorable song, and it's going to go down like that. I mean, it gets played at Howard Homecoming and HBCU football games. Really, all football stadiums play it now. It gets played at Major League Baseball World Series, NFL games. You don't hear Family Matters getting played. So it is what it is. Deal with it. Anyway, tell me what you think. TDE, do you think they're bending the rules in streaming, bending the rules by botting streams or alleged botting streams? I don't know. You tell me what you think in the comments. I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's just sour grapes because Drake's brand was affected and Drake wanted to protect his brand, which is really was the whole thing about this UMG case. But anyway, you tell me in the comments. We'll come back with some new comments, new content soon. New content soon. And y'all have a good night. All right. Peace.